Good afternoon on this beautiful day. The sun is shining and I've got a little bit of sunburn because I ventured outside. But vitamin D is very good for you, so I would suggest to anyone watching this is 4046, and today I'm going to talk about something quite close to my heart because sadly they may no longer exist within a couple of weeks' time. It's a sport called rugby. There's two different variations of it. There's a rugby league, which is played more northerly in the country, and like football has 11 players and various different scoring systems. So for a try, I think it's, and forgive me if I'm wrong because I'm not so familiar with the league, but the point system is different. I'll leave it at that. I think that's probably the best way to go. Whereas the team I support is in rugby union, which, even though it was founded, I believe, in the town of Rugby, the rugby teams, apart from the likes of Newcastle, for example, are all more the Midlands or southerly based, such as Harlequins, London Irish, and then towards the southwest you have Exeter, and then as you get towards the Midlands you have Leicester. Formerly you have Wasps. Unfortunately this year has been really eventful because with Wasps and Worcester went bankrupt, so that's quite sad for the fans. Always also a sad moment in rugby because there's two teams that were really well thought of and no longer exist because of financial irregularities. My team, being London Irish, is on the precipice itself. I never thought this day would come, but due to recent events it has. It's led to problems of the players and staff not being paid on time, which is quite sad really. This was brought up to the governing body, which is the Rugby Football Union, and they've given a deadline because there was supposed to be a US consortium taking over the company, the debt of the club and the club, and this still hasn't happened yet. They've been talking for months about this, and it's quite frustrating because there's there's nothing from London Irish themselves that it would seem about this. I mean, I could be wrong. The information probably could possibly be out there, being the internet and everything, but I doubt it. I mean, this is a rugby club that formed in 1896, so has been well established. It's been getting better for the last few years under the director of rugby, Declan Kidney, and the coach Les Kiss, formerly of Munster and the national Irish team. However, this is not about those two individuals. The team's season finished last week and they won over Exeter and finished 5th place in the league. However, since that time it's come to light that the Rugby Football Union has put them into put a proposal down, not a proposal but a demand that the club is secure by the 31st of this month. Otherwise it will be booted out of the league, which have quite disastrous results. The tables have turned. I've not had a chance to read the article yet, but the Irish Rugby Football Union might be stepping in to sort this problem out, because it shouldn't take months and months and months and months and months to buy said club. This club was formed at the same time as London Scottish and London Welsh. Unfortunately, London Welsh went bust a few years ago now, about 5 to 6 years ago, actually possibly even longer than that, possibly about 9 years ago thinking about it, and they had to start from the bottom again. They've gone up 10 leagues in as many years, and unfortunately they cannot afford to compete in the Premiership again. In this country, or in this sport, you have a cap, and the cap is, I think, about £5.5 million, and you have, all the team has to be in that cap. There's certain things where you can have 1 or 2 players that are not part of that cap, but unfortunately it's hurt English rugby quite badly. After the Saracens fiasco, which you can read about, where they financially swindled the cap system, shall we say, when at the time, which was £7 million, and got demoted to the next league. So they've done their time, the league below, they've done their time. There's been a scrutinising eye on the sport. The other problem being as well is that COVID caused the clubs to get into massive debt. London Irish is no exception, at £37 million, so roughly in the sort of middle of the clubs. Just be nice to make a video for once about something that I like and care about. I've been to many matches. This is from the season when we unfortunately played in the lower division, being the Championship, the Premiership being the top division. This particular jersey's from about two seasons ago, or actually, yeah, about 2 seasons ago, and this is the current. Well, this isn't the current one, but I've worn this one, and this is not the most comfortable one. I've got a lucky one elsewhere, where every game I've gone to, we've actually won. So that's a lucky thing, really. The emblem being the 4 3-leaf clovers, the George Cross, and then the sword being denoting London Irish. As you can see, their main home kit is this green colour. The away kits have been white. One season they were this extremely unusual blue that wasn't that popular, and this is another one that they played in black. I mean, they have played in black in the past, but black doesn't come very often because Saracens and Exeter both wear predominantly black jerseys. I think Newcastle might do as well, but Newcastle, every rugby club is having their own individual issues. However, I'm going to talk about my experiences from starting to support them. Roughly about 20 years ago, I made a choice to support this team. It was between Harlequins and London Irish, and I chose London Irish for no particular reason, but since then I've stuck with London Irish through thick and thin. It's a good day out. At the time, London Irish were playing out of Reading, which is not really next to London. It's not in London in any way, shape or form. It's quite far away from London at its core, and had some very memorable days at that stadium. The only problem with that stadium was if you were trying to get there by train, because most of the rugby matches I go by train, it was a pain in the neck to get to, because you had to get a train and then you had to get a bus, and it wasn't on an industrial estate, so when you came to leave it was terrible. I remember one time having 11,000 people that trying to all leave at once, and it was horrible. It wasn't great, but it didn't deter me. I went to some more games there, and in the last 2 to 3 years we've moved to Brentford. At the time, Brentford were in the championship, or the football club Brentford were in the championship, and now they're in the Premier League. It's come to light recently that our games are causing too much damage to the ground. We may have to move and share with someone else. Unfortunately, Brentford, to begin with, were not that welcoming, sadly. They didn't seem to want adversity. London Irish is quite a positive club when it comes to young futures in all the colleges that they partake in, trying to sort of carry on the legacies, and in their own academy. But depending on who owns us in the next couple of weeks, we could be potentially moving to Wimbledon, but there's speculation. There's no concrete proof of it. I've been with them through the highs and the lows. There's a 15-man team in there, and you've got 6 to 7 subs, if I remember rightly. Now, it is complicated because the rules change all the time. So certain tackles, if you've performed a dangerous tackle, you either get a red card, which is sent off, or a yellow card, which means you spend 10 minutes off the field in something called the sin bin. And then after that 10 minutes, you'll get back on. However, if you get sin bin twice, then you get a red card in that match. The matches are 80 minutes long, 2 halves of 40 minutes each. You get referees that like doing things to decide who gets the ball, like scrums. Scrum is when the two teams lock into a pattern and one feeds the ball in and then tries to get advantage over the opposing side to get that ball towards the posts. You also get throw-ins. That's some other referees, so the team that's trying to get that ball, they'll both 2 lines, opposing team and the team that opted for that, jump up in the air and then catch the ball and then trying to do something with the ball. Sometimes the opposing team can steal the ball, and yeah, there's so many different things to it. The main game involves you only being able to pass back, so forward passes do not count. As a penalty of sorts, you can get, what's the word I'm looking for, if you have hands in the thing, because you've got to let go of the ball. So you get tackled down to the ground, you've got to let go of the ball and let your team try and retrieve that ball, or the opposing team will steal the ball. For a try, you score 5 points. For a conversion, which you kick between the posts after the try, so the try means that you're going over the line by the posts, so you get 5 points for that. If you then, your fly half will kick the ball, because they mainly do the kicking side of things, and if they go between the posts, that's 2 points. There's also something called a drop goal, or a penalty. A penalty where you can get 3 points for kicking between the posts, and you can also have a drop goal, which is very all of a sudden, doesn't happen very often in Union. I must admit, I enjoy it. I've talked, unlike football, you can talk to rival fans. It's brilliant. It's a great atmosphere. There's never any issues or problems, and you can have really good conversations. Also, good conversations with your own supporters, because it's about the community at the end of the day, and it will be a shame if London Irish do cease to exist. But it's feel prudent. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to make the video about today, but it seemed like a good idea to do London Irish today, as that may not exist for much longer. So it'll be another rugby club in the void, which is a shame, really. The other problem with being a club that's not exactly that well off, we have got some good players, and the players have been doing their parts. But the problem is we're outclassed a lot. So we've done really well this season to get this far. There's no criticism towards the club itself. It's just that when you're playing against the equivalent of one or two Man City style clubs, which have plenty of money and can get all said players, then it's a very difficult playing field to compete against that. But yes, if you take an interest in rugby, definitely have a look into it. The England rugby team basically gets all its players from the clubs in the Premiership. So each club will lose X amount of players when there's a World Cup or Six Nations tournament on, because all those players get the great honour of playing for England. There's some of them, our players go off elsewhere. I believe we've got one or two Italian players and Argentinian players, so they go off to their respective countries when they have to. But yes, just wanted to really talk about rugby. I've not done it, something slightly different to what I normally talk about. This is going to be the longest video I've ever made to date, but it's great. It really is. It's just like any sport, really. When you sort of talk to fans that you've never ever talked to before, or other people, and bring it up, there's never any animosity. It's great. It really is. I would, if you were ever thinking of supporting a rugby team, regardless of which country you're in, obviously find out about them a little bit first before pledging support to any particular one. And then once you've found the one that you want, just try to stay with them thick and thin, because they need all the support they can get. And I'm sure at the moment there's a lot of uncertainty in the London Irish camp, and I very much hope that there's a resolution found. This is 4046 out. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.